Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It is turning a lot cooler in the next 48 hours as we do start to see some polar maritime air getting wrapped in the area of low pressure that is arriving through this evening into tomorrow. With that polar maritime air, there is the risk that we do see some snow on Friday, especially over higher ground. You can't even rule it out to low-lying areas when you take into account evaporative cooling. And it does look like a very lively day for all on Friday, whether you see rain, sleet or snow falling out of the sky. We are going to see lots of showers around and lots of general precipitation with those relatively cool temperatures. So yeah, it could be quite a wild day through Friday before things settle again as we head into the weekend and start of next week. But as we head into next week, that cold signal might return as we are starting to see very strong signals from the models that we could be seeing easterly winds as we head into the early part of March. Now, the three main operational runs all went for easterly winds yesterday, and they are all going for easterly winds again today. However, we do have a big split in the upper air temperatures. The GFS and the Eastern WF go chilly with a continental flow, but nothing amazingly cold. However, the GM brings in the -10 isotherm, plunging us into the freezer, with daytime temperatures struggling to get much above low single digits and would produce widespread winteriness. So even though the three runs have relatively similar overall synoptics with the same sort of high pressure to our northeast, the upper air temperatures are vastly different around that day 7 to day 10 range, meaning it's still all up in the air, exactly what we see at the surface. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, to like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. If you start on the live radar, you can see you've got quite a bit of heavy rain moving in from the north and the west at the moment, fizzling away as it heads southwards because we've got higher pressure there, but eventually low pressure is going to move in for all over the next 24 hours or so, and of course we are going to see that much cooler air getting wrapped in the low through Friday, where we could see the risk of snow. But at the moment, just generally chilly, temperatures around average for the time of year, and we are seeing lots of heavy rain moving in. So pretty miserable evening for many northern and western areas. Temperatures overnight tonight won't drop away all too low, probably around the mid to high single digits because of all the cloud and rain. Of course, we've had frosts over the past few evenings. Unlikely to see that this evening, as said, because of that cloud and rain. But though frost or generally cooler temperatures, as said, will be returning through Thursday into Friday. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see that rain moving in through the rest of this evening and continuing to progress eastwards. As it clears through Thursday morning, then we start to see that chillier air arrive. Initially, mostly rain showers, maybe snow across Scotland, Northern Ireland, maybe Republic of Ireland, and then widely the showers start to turn a bit more wintry through Thursday evening into Friday. You see a band of precipitation forms around this small little low pressure system that we originally thought would just be a little feature, a little disturbance. It's actually a much stronger low now. We're seeing some really heavy precipitation with it through Friday morning for the first day of March, and you can see where it hits any higher ground across parts of the Republic of Ireland, across parts of South Wales, southwest England. We are seeing some quite hefty snow. Again, it's unlikely to cause any significant issues at the surface because the ground temperatures will likely be above freezing. The 2 meter temperatures may only be 2 or 3 degrees, but not quite the freezing temperatures we need for significant settling snow. But still could be disruptive in terms of falling snow for a time, and could be pretty whiteout conditions in places if that snow does fall. Through the rest of Friday, we continue to see that precipitation head northwards and eastwards, and it could, as I said, turn to snow over especially higher ground. But there is the risk to low-lying areas, especially as we head into the latter part of the afternoon into the evening, even into the far southeast there. Of course, the Chilterns, for example, a bit of snow into Saturday morning. So it's going to be one to watch through Thursday evening through to Saturday morning. Quite a lot of snow is possible in places, or falling snow. Let me be specific because it's unlikely to settle apart from maybe some of the higher ground across Wales and North England and Scotland. As we head into the weekend, though, those showers continue to move around, but it starts to settle down a little bit as we head into Sunday, with less showers around, but still chilly, before we head into into next week, into Monday, and then we see a big weather front moving in, which is going to introduce milder air from the southwest. You can see the air at the moment is pretty mild, but it still is chilly at the surface because it's just a temporary air mass within that weather front. But as we head into Thursday and Friday, chilly polar maritime air is going to move in around -5 to -7 degrees at 850 HPA, which is cold enough just about for snow. Again, if these sort of air masses were seen in December, January, then the chances would be slightly higher than they are now. But this is just about the margins for snow. And you can see that cold air mass lingers all the way into the weekend, for eventually, as we head into Monday, starts to slowly turn a little bit milder from the west as the air masses start to get a little bit warmer. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see through this evening, unlikely to see a frost in most areas as we've got a lot of cloud around. Into tomorrow afternoon, chillier, maybe 6 to 9 degrees as the cold air is back in place. And then as we into Friday, could see a frost ahead of the winteriness, which could allow the ground temperatures to freeze, which may mean there is the risk of a bit of slushy snow, maybe a light dusting for some into Friday morning. But as we enter Friday afternoon, you can see temperatures are still cold, but widely sort of 3 to 7 degrees. So chilly, cold enough for seeing wintry showers and maybe some falling snow, but nothing too widespread. Higher ground, you can see maybe not getting much above 0 or 1 degree. So that is where the risk of something a little bit more snowy does increase. But for most, it's going to be cold, maybe even really quite chilly, down towards the low single digits, but nothing too disruptive at this stage. Into the weekend, frost into Saturday morning for some where we don't have cloud, and then Saturday afternoon again, low single digits up to maybe 7 or 8 degrees max. Those temperatures are starting to nudge up, and by Sunday, again, we're looking at mid to high single digits, a bit more widespread. And then into Monday, again, quite a harsh overnight frost with those cold air masses in play. And then into Monday, still pretty chilly, especially where we've got that weather front, but because the upper air temperatures are starting to turn milder, it's unlikely to see much snow within that before eventually generally pretty mild air does move in from the southwest as we head into the middle of next week. Now, if you do have a look at those longer range signals, you can see the northwesterly wind coming in at the moment, and then that chilly air gets swept into their low pressure system for Friday and Saturday. Eventually, southwesterlies do return, and then high pressure builds up towards Scandinavia. We see that wind veer into an easterly by the end of next working week. Now, initially, it's a milder easterly, but the GFS does try to pull some cold air in, but we never get any really cold air in. So it is a proper full-blown easterly. Chilly air masses would try to push in, but we're not seeing anything too cold, even out to 384 hours. Dry, chilly, potentially frosts around, but nothing significant. The very cold air stays well to our east, not getting pushed our way. However, if we look at the GM, it does push it our way. Again, that low sits over the top of us into the weekend. Southwesterlies return, and then the high pressure builds up towards Scandinavia, but a bit further northwards allows that cold air to head our way. And as we head towards a week on Saturday, look at that, the 9th of March, low pressure running in to this very cold air that's starting to get embedded over the top of us. The -10 isotherm, maybe even the -12 or -15 is possible there. And you can see the upper air temperatures are 10 to 12 degrees below average. If we look at the 2 meter temperatures here, this is midday, struggling to get much above 3 or 4 degrees. And if we look at the dew points, well below freezing, so any precipitation would have a high chance of being wintry in flavour. Very interesting indeed seeing that. New snow depth, nothing too major at this stage. We are going to be feeling wintry showers in from the east, and there is the risk of some frontal snow if this bumps into that very cold air. So the upper air temperatures down to -10, maybe -11, -14, 15. Not too far away. Huge contrast to the GFS in terms of the surface temperatures and the upper air temperatures, but very similar synoptics. It's a couple hundred miles difference in the centre of that high makes all the difference. If we do compare to the ECMWF, it's similar to the GFS, maybe slightly milder actually. High pressure builds up towards Scandinavia, and then we pull in that easterly wind. Again, the very cold air actually stays well out into Russia and Eastern Europe. Well, actually, we don't go that cold at all. Yes, the upper air temperatures are around average. You could argue maybe slightly below average for a time, but generally it's not particularly cold at all. Chilly, yes, for the UK, but really nothing too major. Those upper air temperatures hovering around the freezing mark. Now, if you look at the latest ensembles, you can see this well reflected here. Temperatures dropping quite a lot over the next few hours, then staying chilly through the weekend into the start of next week before climbing to average to over slightly above average. And then we tread more towards average or below average towards the sort of 10th of March onwards. But you can see a handful of runs, maybe 5, there's maybe as much as 10 going to -5, some even down to -10. So those are the ones that are going for that very cold easterly like the GEM. So you can see it's not got massive support, but definitely is a chance. There's a significant increase from yesterday where there were very few runs at all going for it. So definitely a big increase, but at this stage, I wouldn't say it's the most favoured outcome, but it is a possibility. You definitely see high pressure building in because precipitation is reducing. Still a few bigger spikes here. Those will be the ones that have got a slightly different synoptic outlook, but most are quite a bit drier. 2 meter temperatures, chilly. We definitely saw a big upwards trend last week, but now perhaps tailing off in the longer term as we see that easterly flow. Again, unless we get that sort of -5 to -10 ice firm in, it probably won't be below 8 or 9 degrees, simply because of the strength of sunshine this time of year. But still could be chilly even with just moderately chilly air at the upper air level. Dew points dropping in the longer term as well. We can see cold over the next few days because we have got that polar maritime air mass in, but you see quite a few colder dew points there in the longer term. Again, pretty typical from a continental flow. Dry air coming in off northern Europe. And if we do compare to the east of the EF, it's actually very similar. Cool at the moment, trending more towards average in the longer term, maybe slightly below in the towards sort of the teens of March. But then you can see there are quite a few runs, more than a handful here, maybe 10 to 20 runs that get us down to -5 to -10, which would be bringing in much colder conditions, the risk of winteriness, harsh frosts, and generally just quite a cold feel as we head into the first month of spring. Precipitation is lower, but it's not minimal, so perhaps a few more anomalous runs going for low pressure dominance, but we would just have to see. But a relatively strong signal now for easterly winds, increasing signal definitely, and there is the possibility it could be even very cold if we did pull in that air mass like the GEM does. But I must emphasize at this stage that is a low possibility, maybe 10%, maybe 20% at best, but it is a possibility and we will just have to see. Of course, it's going to be one to keep up to date with over the coming days, but perhaps through March we could see more winteriness in the first week or two than we saw in the whole last 6 weeks of winter, so end of January through February. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, but of course we've had the sun stratospheric warmings taking place, got one going on at the moment, or difficult to say exactly when it happens, but very weak polar vortex at the moment, negative zonal mean winds or easterly winds, so blocking Scandinavian highs, even Greenland highs, definitely above average chance at the moment. So I'm not surprised we're seeing easterly winds dominate the model output at the moment. But as I said, we'll have to see exactly how it does play out, what sort of air masses we will see. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.